Hello, this is Pixie doing another video. Now, I've been doing some research into personality stuff, been looking at myself, doing some research on these different things, and also looking at things around codependency. Now, some people might not be aware what that means. So maybe in the past you had a period whereby you learnt certain behaviour from your parents, you've experienced something that's made you quite lonely, and so inside you've got this kids doing wheelies, you've got this part of you that's basically shielded in your heart emotionally, so you haven't really dealt your own feelings, but when you go out and do things for people, the distraction of it and the feel-good factor seems to sort of counterweigh it, so you get a buzz from doing that. And as a result, you basically you develop this. I guess it's a coping mechanism as well. And to reduce doing this to other people, you need to work on yourself. You need to look at these different spots in your life and go back. Now, I don't really know where mine comes from, but I do know that I can get over-attached to certain people, and it comes on very quickly. You know, when people say they fall in love easily, well, that's part of it. Basically, you're always using your heart, and you're helping people, and you're wanting them to appreciate you back. So part of it can fall into a personality type as well, and you try not to care about that factor, but in reality, you wish that people would care about you as much as you care about them. But you'll find that you seem to be the only person capable of this level of care for other people, you know, or there's going to be other people with the same sort of personality, but not everyone has the same, you know, the same interest, take actions to support you and stuff like that. And as a result, you might have a funny perspective of the world as well. So yeah, where are we going? This one. To think it through which side I want to be on. I probably do want to go on this side actually. There we go. So you become vulnerable. You let yourself become vulnerable all the time to a degree, but you protect your inner self, and when you fall in love, the shielding comes off and you suddenly become quite attached to the person, because I guess really what you're trying to do at that point is you're trying to heal, and you're going through some sort of cognitive changes. However, it doesn't always work so well with other people, because you have this thing where you're drawn to people that have a vulnerability at some level, or maybe they have some emotional things going on in their life, and they're not capable of feeling the love that you're looking for, but you're trying to override that. You think, well, if I fix them, then they will be appreciative of that connection, and you would form that relationship. You're trying to form a relationship based on them needing you, and that it's like you know, it's like trying to fuel addiction or something. You know, it's not really quite correct to try to turn someone dependent on you, and it can backfire massively. And you do this, and it's deep in the psyche, so you're not consciously seeking. Well, you're not consciously that you're aware of seeking people that you can kind of you might see as play a role in their life, but it may be that you're interfering at some level with their life, or that you feel that by them being with you they'll be somehow a lot better. It's to their advantage or their benefit, and you're not actually having that conversation with the person. So, I mean, you would turn around and say, "Hey, if I was in your life, Would you like to be manipulated and controlled? What it is the power balance. Any relationship, if the power balance is different, then the more dominant force will start to sort of take some control. And when you've got a good, healthy relationship, you kind of say, well, this is where your strengths lie, this is where my strengths lie, and if you want to do this, that's fine, and so on. It's a bit like it's the same way that say a woman might turn around and say, well, you might assume that a man's good with DIY, and so they want them to do this, and they kind of manage them to do it, but they want them to get on with it, and so they allow themselves to be instructed at some level. It's not that they might turn around and say, guess what, I'm going to do the DIY. They've been told to do it. So there's a different kind of controls thing in there. You used to have some old-fashioned things that people used to believe that sort of, women should cook and stuff. It's not such a big thing now. I think men have broadened their bases and not just the pudding bases. There's a lot of things that men probably didn't do in the past, but they do now. I say that, but they would have it as a profession, wouldn't they? Like doctors, they would always they pretty much deal with women and men. But there may have been stages where that was a bit taboo, a doctor seeing a female. But then there's this assumption that it's a doctor, that's different. They've got a qualification, they're a different person. But it wasn't always the same way around, I guess. Was there such a big fuss over female doctors seeing men? Was there a point where, that was acceptable, and then there was times where it wasn't? I'm not too sure. But I guess because with men, they've never been worried about being seen by women in the same way. And where they had things like nurses, they're always going to see men and women and children. It's never been an issue. And so anyway, sort of going off topic about power bases and roles in society. So some things are acceptable, some things are maybe misplaced, so you wouldn't want to sort of, deliberately be looking for a partner, try to fix them so you can be some sort of controller in some way. And it's not intentional. Like I say, a lot of it's deep psyche stuff. Some people are very unhealthy in this area, and some people are not. It could be even opportunity. Like there's guys that will look to be feeders. Now I don't know what motivates them, but the idea is they're trying to feed their partner, so they don't leave them, and they're overweight, and that makes them less insecure, seeing that their partner's overweight and won't leave them, or nobody else will be attracted to them, which is a bit kind of crazy, really. What's the motivation for causing abuse in a person? And that's the big thing as well. If you're trying to fix someone, are you abusing them? And the answer is yes, because if you're doing something without respecting their rights and responsibilities and what they want in life and so on, if someone wants to be on a downer, they can. You don't have to force them to be happy. What you would do is ask them, do you want to do something, clear your head or whatever, or what do you want to do? And if they say, well, no, actually I just want to have a sleep and think things over about stuff, then fine. So it's finding that area. It's very difficult though if you've got a sort of thing, if you kind of want to see. I'm quite creative as well, so creative, fixing things, but they don't just apply to objects. They might go into people. So it's a bit odd like that. So that's sort of the codependency. So the other issue for the codependency, so is understand you need to have barriers, and you need to put them barriers in pretty quick. You meet some people and you think, nah, there's nothing going to happen there. And there's other people that you kind of think, oh, she's quite nice, but that's all opened the doorway almost into your head where you might think, oh, blimey. And then slowly you develop stuff in the background in your subconscious, and you deep into your psyche, and it doesn't always manifest in straight away, and that's probably the worst type. So I've realised that lesson, developing feelings for somebody automatically, which you do anyway, but without any really recognition in the psyche of it happening and just sort of going with it. So that's a big mistake. And then there's other things as well I want to mention about is, so it says you're at higher risk from people, either they have a dependency, so they have addiction issues or something, or someone who's a narcissist, because they always need from others. So when they come across you and you're giving, you're the giver, they're the needer. They basically just start feeding off you, and they have a fix from you, so they just keep pushing it. And some people have developed certain levels of narcissism from their experiences in life. Some people were nurtured and raised that way. I don't know if people are naturally narcissists. They might be, but I think it's where emotional stuff would probably have been less important, and material and other things have taken over. I don't know what someone was doing there, but I was in the right lane. Crazy drivers. Got no lights on either. Because somebody wants to kill me to be listening to my video. So that's must be a narcissist. So there we go. So yeah, anyway, there's different types that more vulnerability, and when you realise this, you can be a bit more aware of it. You just need to put these things in place. So I think really initially, if you meet someone, they're quite charming, you like them, or you develop feelings, you've got to ask yourself why, and then you've got to ask yourself, you've got to sort of at least make some initial assessment of the impact of that. Now, it could be that this person, let's say it's not a love interest, let's say it's a friend or something. Maybe you're drawn to this person for some strong character they've got, but you need to be sure of what you're getting from them. It's some people are quite giving, some people are quite take. Some situations where somebody's quite generous, yet emotionally they try to feed off you quite a bit. And you don't mind if there's a healthy balance, and so it's trying to figure out what you get from that relationship. I think the method of having no contact with someone is pretty destructive. I can understand some ultimatum where you turn around and say, look, this is what I want, unless you're willing to do that, we can't continue as friends or whatever. That's fine. I can understand that. That's kind of at least giving someone a bit of choices. But if you turn around and someone says, they got drunk, or they had a bad day, or they said something wrong, they've got no way of recovering from that. I mean, there are things we do in life that are final, and there are things that are rectifiable. And it depends if you think that words are more dangerous in some ways than physical things. And maybe for men it might see the world a bit different. We're more alert to physical threats. My memory just sort of breaks things down. It doesn't want to recall lots of events that are going to cause any stress or trauma. And it's part of it's out of choice. I mean, I can pull back things and remember them, but they've probably been broken down into really basic components and archived, But somebody else might remember the intention of it, the emotional level, how that made them feel, things like that. It's just, I wouldn't really think of how it makes me feel. I just relook at it and how it makes me feel in the moment. And I think also living in the moment's the main thing, because some of the lessons I need to take back and look at, which is, like I say, live in the present. The idea of living in the past is, it adds some fundamentals to your existence, but it will hold you back from progressing in yourself, and that's the main thing. Because I wanted to have a sort of, as consciousness is evolving, we have a sort of multi-dimensional stuff. And multi-dimensional is that your dreams can play important part in your consciousness. So I had quite a strange dream, actually. No, not too. It felt like I was with this person I fell out with. It felt like I was with them hanging out last night. It's really weird. So it felt good in one way, and I thought, well, that's weird. Maybe I did. Maybe I was in the spirit world of hanging out. So I just move on, as you do. There's nothing else you can do now. And it's all in the past now. Just move on, really. And I sort of revisit, and that's what I mentioned about sort of health and the impact of that as well. Because some people aren't addicts or narcissists. They just don't have emotion. They just come out of a relationship, they're not capable of stuff. And you might see that as an opportunity to prove yourself as a better person, you know, make them feel better, heal them, and all sorts of things. But they might not want that, or they might want that, but they just use you. You basically give them what they want, and then they move on. I mean, you can't always understand why people are the way they are. When somebody suffers from abuse, some of the abuser sort of will have an impact in their psyche and may merge with them. And you know, it's a bit like I was speaking to one of my friends, and he deals with some vulnerable people, and this woman must have worked in one of these kind of male escort type parlours, and in the past. Anyway, so she's staying at this hostel place, and then she starts. And then she said that this guy raped her in the past, and it's quite a strong accusation to say something like that, you know. And it's more likely that she's had all these traumatic experiences, and it's all rolled into one. So it's just dangerous the way that's interfused. So now she's, you know, she might have had a bad experience, the trauma's triggered, but she's made someone else the victim through whatever's going on in her subconscious or her conscious mind. She might be intentionally getting attention. I mean, so she's abused herself, so she's become the victim and the abuser, which is sort of quite sad, really, because that just happens sometimes. So she's like becoming a bully in that way. So she said this stuff, and then she said, "Oh no, I don't want to make a statement. I don't want to take this any further," sort of thing. And then it's kind of like, well, that's strange. You know, what do you want out of this situation? And it's a bit weird, actually. So yeah, so it's actually what's looking strange is that I'm travelling down this road and it's daylight. Normally I travel at night time, and so it looks all different, which is a bit weird. So maybe it's getting lighter. Let's have a look. Yeah, a bit here too early, to be honest. I'll have to check my time. Turn up an hour earlier to a situation. Whoop. There we go, getting on again. There we go. And so yeah, so anyway, so that's kind of like what sort of happened there with that person, and how they've now punishing other people because they got some stuff they need to deal with themselves, but they're offloading that onto other people, so that's a bit of a pain, really, isn't it? So yeah. So anyway, this is a picture signing off now, and speak to you soon.